Since I am more a pride ally than anything else, I think I should talk about something I know, and everybody who is human knows something about self-worth. But let us start our worshipping together by lighting our lovely chalice, which even wobbles a bit. And the wobble is planned. So, in lighting the chalice, we move from day-to-day living mode. From our daily concerns, we transform ourselves into worshipping mode. We affirm our connections to each other here, to the Unitarians in other parts of the world, and to humanity as a whole. Now, self-worth is a big subject, and these are only my assorted ideas. I came across the subject matter when I saw somebody going through a crisis, and I had seen the same person building up her idea who she was and who she could be, and then something catastrophic happened, and almost within the space of 2 hours, everything seemed to have been wiped out. I've also seen her regain her confidence very quickly afterwards. And I thought, why is it that we are so often have this self-worth, this feeling, I am somebody, please look at me. And then it suddenly gets taken from us. Do we allow it to be taken? And if we do allow it, who or what is taking it? Is there, this is a church service after all, a faith dimension in that? Is there a God or a belief system which can help us to build self-worth, to restore self-worth, to regain self-worth? And that comes from somebody who was an extremely precocious, geeky kid, and who is not a kid, hasn't been a kid for a long time, and still occasionally feels this kid resurfacing in herself. And then she has to do something. Sometimes she even manages to do not the right thing, because there is no right or wrong in that matter, but the appropriate thing for herself. So I'm not just preaching about something I've read in a book or seen in a clever film. Deep down, I preach in the only way I think preaching should be done, from the heart, from my own experience. So nothing I say, on the other hand, is you should do such and such. If I ever have a should in it, it is probably a grammatical error, because we are all different. And if pride demonstrates one thing, and it's Pride Weekend after all, it is that diversity is beautiful. We should be proud that we are not like the other person, because this is what makes us rich and makes our world rich. Amy Mullins gives us the following quote: "Belief in oneself is incredibly infectious. It generates momentum, the collective force of which far outweighs any kernel of self-doubt that may creep in. The next reading is by Vanessa Titan and is called Remembering Self-Worth. Like many people, I wrestle with the shadow of imposter syndrome. I sometimes doubt myself, feel like a fraud, or question how I came to be in a position I am in. Early in seminary as a student, I was made aware of this phenomenon and that each of us was not alone with this concern. I had thought by now I would be cured of my imposter syndrome. Alas, I have not been. I do not think I ever will be entirely. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. Recently, I reflected on photographs of a social justice vigil that I helped organize. In looking at these photos, I focus on the group, the individuals who took it upon themselves to side with and demand justice, with picket signs and chants echoing out from courageous voices. I am proud of them and of this possibility for human concern, camaraderie, and bravery. I too am there, clad in black and wearing a clergy collar. To me, I was just background. Yet looking at this image years later, I recognize the significant presence I have. Standing in the line of activists, my right hand holding up two peace fingers. I held my ground despite earlier anxiety rumbling within my belly and making my heart race. Nonetheless, knowing this must be done, as Heckler shouted, all lives matter, I remained in solidarity with others beside me. I now acknowledge myself in this picture more accurately, a minister engaged in prophetic witness. I am not my peace sign, my color, or my anxiety. I'm the beating heart and soul within the body, doing brave, amazing, new, good, imperfect things. This is my ministry. Though uncomfortable, I appreciate my remaining skepticism of self. Imposter syndrome can help me remember and find discoveries about myself, keeping me humble, appreciative, and self-aware. When doubting my capability and place in ministry, I shall come back to this image of me in vigil. I am a minister. I say it now and I believe it. I'm a holder and caretaker of people's hearts as they grapple with complexities of existence. This is my vocation and where my own heart resides, just as I can believe in others. I also believe in me. Very short prayer, let us pray. In times of self-doubt, may you be curious to discover who you are, to hold fast and be empowered in knowing you are worthy. May doubt be a tool on your path and not the destination. May you believe in yourself. Amen. to remember our promises. Bring who you are as you enter our church this morning. Bring your best self and your struggling self. Bring your mistakes and your triumphs. Bring your shortcomings and your recommitment to good. Bring yourself here and open your heart to beauty, to truth, to the door that is open to the presence of God. Here in this church, we are trying to walk together on a peaceable way, trying to hammer out division and hatred and all that separates one from another. We try and we will fall short, but held in love, we try again. We come together this morning as a church to bow our heads in prayer, to raise our voices in song, to remember our promises and vow to live by them once again. Beautiful words by Sarah C. Stewart. This is a reading by Scott Alexander. I think it should not surprise us that these rescuers of humanity share a strong sense of personal worth and security. For doesn't it make perfect psychological sense that, generally speaking, one has to feel good about one's own self before one is able to express much goodness towards others? This, of course, is not a new idea. For well over 2,000 years ago, Jesus framed his enduring gospel of human responsibility and goodness this way: love your neighbor as you love yourself. Even in his pre-psychological age, Jesus seems to have intuitively understood that love and respect for self is a spiritual prerequisite for love and respect directed outward to others. In our time, it's been the humanistic psychologists, most noticeably Abraham Maslow and Erich Fromm, who have asserted that self-esteem and personal security as a starting place for all healthy and humane human relationships and society. And this makes such perfect practical sense, doesn't it? For how, I ask, can I be respectful and loving and nurturing toward humanity around me if I despise and loathe the humanness within me? If I don't respect and revere the manifestation of personhood I know best, namely my own self in this familiar little sheath of skin, how in God's name will I respect and revere those often odd and idiosyncratic human manifestations that all of you are? Clearly, love and respect for self creates the core of human affirmation from which love and respect for others spring. It should not surprise us then to hear that those compassionate few who saved Jews from certain deaths valued themselves. From the inside out, they knew of their own human beauty and worth, and therefore could readily see and want to protect the human beauty and worth of strangers when the knock came at the door. Or as I normally phrase it, happy people don't start a war. At least I have, and I have studied history, I have not come across one. Even if they say they are, and even if they say they're superior to everybody else, that's the reason why they start the war. Deep down, there's something. Bess Lefevre writes, we are whole. We are whole even in the broken places, even where it hurts. We are whole even in the broken places, the places where fear impedes our full engagement with life, where self-doubt corrupts our self-love, where shame makes our faces hot and our souls cold. We are whole, even in those places where perfectionism blunts the joy of full immersion into person, place, activity, where good enough does not reside except in our silent longings, where our gaps must be fast filled with substance, accomplishment, or frenzied activity, lest they gape open and disgust. We are whole, where we doubt our own goodness, richness, fullness, and depths, where we would doubt our own significance, our own profoundness. We are whole even in our fragility, even where we feel fragmented, alone, insubstantial, insufficient. We are whole, even as we are in process, even as we stumble, even as we pick ourselves up again, for we are whole. We are whole. And this concept of being whole, even if you don't feel whole, and telling yourself, reassuring yourself, you are okay, you are enough. That is not a contradiction to dream big. You can only dream big if you give yourself some self-affirmation, because the world around you might give you it, but it is not always sure. You can't bank on it. So be creative, give it to yourself, or consider it to be given to you by what you might want to call God, what you might call your moral code, your belief system, or which other name you want to choose for it. It is difficult. It is difficult. I come from a teaching background. I tried to teach German to whoever wanted to learn it. And so even to some who probably didn't want to learn it, I worked predominantly with adults. And we always got the odd one at the beginning of the academic year who came to the German class because he thought it might be useful and we had to drive the ride for flower. So, but what I have was, because I like doing stuff like that, incorporated into my teachings were sort of practical exercises. And one of the practical exercises you can also tell to people you are in church. You wake up in the morning. At one point, you stand in front of the mirror, and if it's only to see, what your hair looks like, or putting a face on, or whatever, tell yourself, I'm okay. What looks back at me is perfectly fine. Might not win the beauty contest, but we're in it from the start of. Tell yourself, I am okay. Even with that body who is probably not the way we want it to be, with that body who causes us pain as well as giving us delight, I am okay. Well, my students probably thought it was a silly exercise. I also had a gratitude exercise, which some of them took me up. And obviously, because I was teaching a foreign language, I wanted that in the target language at the end of each day. Remember 3 things you are grateful for. It can be the absence of a bad thing. But if you only have absence of a bad thing, today I'm grateful that it didn't rain. And it's not always so desirable. See if you couldn't do a bit better. Maybe, just maybe, some people have not learned German with me, but they probably learned something else. And in one case, I'm really sure that. And that is okay. I've always seen adult education as something which cares for people. And there is a lot of wounded people who don't ever go through the door of a church. And for a lot of my teaching career, I wasn't a believer myself. But they go through a door of an adult education institution, and they just need to be picked up. And if they let you, do it. And if they don't let you, help that God sends them somebody else. That's all it can do. Let us pray, because it's Pride weekend. That's Naomi King's rainbow prayer. Beloved, we dream dreams of equality and respect, dignity for all people, and a planet healed from environmental harm and terror. Sustain us as we reach faithfully to make such dreams real, as we innovate and risk trying new things to bring about a diverse, peaceful world, as we fail and as we falter, and as we keep learning and sharing, and even sometimes succeeding. Beloved, let us dream our rainbow dreams, dreams where no one is left behind and no one is forgotten. But let us keep reaching out and back and up and forward, and let us build together this rainbow world in which we wish to live. Beloved, may we dream rainbow dreams and not be afraid to dream and to wake and to make those rainbow dreams real. Amen. And this is a short poem. It's my own. I believe in rainbows. I believe in rainbows. I would be daft not to, because they really exist. I believe that rainbows are like human life, fleeting. If you look at Earth's history, fragile, and breathtakingly beautiful. I believe in the lessons of the rainbow, that after days of sheer endless gloom will follow sunshine, that it is almost impossible to lose hope completely, that we do not need to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because the rainbow is gift enough. That we, the children of the rainbow, are all equal, just as the colors of the rainbow are all equal, and the colors of the rainbow don't fight with each other. And let us not forget, it was the raven who flew to the rainbow, not the dove, to announce the end of the flood. Good comes from unexpected sources. Yes, I would be daft to believe in rainbows. Now, I'm a linguist, and there are so many expressions in both of my languages, since I've only got two. For the loss of confidence, of self-confidence. For instance, in English, we are flawed. Same level as the ground we are walking on. We feel treated like something the cat brought in. We feel treated like dirt. We have shrunk into insignificance, and I'm sure you could come up with a lot more. There is one which I just would like to present to you for amusement. So, and that is one in German. So groß mit Hut. And that's small, with a hat on. I.e., you are sort of like a symbol. But if there are so many expressions for something, there wouldn't be so many expressions if the phenomenon would not exist. It is a common occurrence. So why haven't we developed better defense mechanisms? Is somebody, something profiting from our lack of those defense mechanisms? All human rights declarations speak of human dignity as being untouchable. The first line of the Constitution of my mother country says exactly that. Die Würde des Menschen, the dignity of the human, is unantastbar, is untouchable. I used to have a sweatshirt with it in rainbow colors. I was running around with that sweatshirt thinking, oh, somebody might ask me what that means. I mean, honestly, I have my significant sweatshirts and nobody asked me what it means. So, I mean, I had, it was given to me. It was a present and I had a lot of delight. But the idea that it might promote some interest in me, the German language, or both. Now, that sort of advertising trick just fell flat on its face. I still have meaningful sweatshirts. We both do. I mean, we get the delight. Maybe somebody will at one point ask us. I liked yesterday when we had the pipe service, Tom, when one of the choir members had human on his t-shirt. I thought that was good as well. So it is there. The idea is out there. It's also not upheld universally. It's trampled on it. And not only in the wider political sense, And in the wider political sense, we are entitled to be worried because it is a worrying age we are living in, but it is also trampled in the way we deal with each other. And I don't know where it originally comes from. We put some pictures with us, and the two prints on either side are from an exhibition which has the title Under One Sky. We share a sky. Why can't we actually share respect for each other that well? Why is there so much bullying? In what shame whatsoever still around?
The title of the series of prints is people said Under One Sky. The theme of the whole exhibition was taken from Pride Identity. And the one in the middle is the painting of the earliest same-sex wedding that we conducted in Dublin. The second one was that was legal. And this one was worth celebrating, because the two people who get married were chair of Doncaster Pride.
So we are all these wonderful people. We are told we are wonderful. So what is happening there? And are we not? We cannot only see ourselves as the ones who are the afflicted ones. Are we not occasionally the afflictors? What is happening with us? Are we treating people always like we would like to be treated? My school time is quite some time ago, but I remember in a sociology class once being told about an experiment. And it was very simple. People were giving a picture to look at and then asked a question. The picture was a herd of zebras standing, not particularly huddled, but sort of comfortably together, and quite at a distance, a solitary zebra. Same species. I know actually zebra patterns are like fingerprints, but I don't know, if people were told that, I very much doubt that. So they were asked, why is that zebra standing so far away from all the others? And you won't believe it, about 80% of the people said it must have done something wrong and got shot. That was the 1970s. I would actually quite like to go around and redo the experiment. Have we moved forward? Have the people whom I'm engaged with moved forward? How on earth can we come to the conclusion this zebra is standing by itself? It must have done something. Yeah. Difficult. I think if we are hardwired to believe that sometimes who is not of the same ilk as us, not the bird with the same feathers, then that is not the end of it. As long as we are aware that we could have the tendency to attribute blame, as long as we are aware, then we can consciously work against it. And I hope probably the 80% have gone down. That is just, I'm not such a Pollyanna, I'm so optimistic normally, but I do hope that. I do. We're also often told, don't overstate it. Don't overstate who you are. Don't make yourself look better than you actually are. Don't brag. Don't be too proud. Now, I mean, there is bragging, but is there actually to be too proud? Anybody wants to claim center stage, at least occasionally. And if we don't find sensible ways for people to feel fulfilled and live their fulfillment, then we get a lot of the crap which is on television nowadays, where people are given a false center stage and they're dropped as soon as the cameras stop rolling. You are not expressing humility by hiding your own value. In many religious practices, people kneel or even lie flat on the floor to have a representation of their humility before a deity. That does not mean that this religion demands servitude, but here actually something comes through which I wasn't that aware of until recently, and that's my Lutheran Protestant roots. I left Lutheran Protestantism in my teens, so it's a long time ago. But one of the things I have always been told, and I have been confirmed in confirmation classes and in Sunday services, you stand at prayer, and you stand because you eye to eye with your God. This actually has a lot of appeal to me. You eye to eye with your God. Meeting God at eye level is also a wonderful metaphor with empowerment through religion. Because for religion to be creditable in this age, we need it to be on our side to fight injustice and inequity. In my teenage years, I've walked away from religion because the religion which was around me, which I was born into, my mum was a believer, my father was an atheist, so I sort of went from being on one side, going to that side. But I had not a lot of self-confidence. And I always had the idea that I already had many black marks in the book. And I did not need a God to make a few more black marks. Then I came back to religious life, this time as a Unitarian. I've seen the light. Sorry, I didn't mean it so flippant as it came out. But I found myself within a belief system full of encouragement, full of idea of development, of support in times of happiness and grief. And it is not an unusual story. It was grief which brought me to religion first. And it's the happiness and the grief sometimes which still holds me there. Sometimes this is not my own words, that is a translation of a short poem by Frank Reintgen, and he's a German writer, a Catholic actually, on religious matters. Sometimes I'm sad, and then I long for a hand which holds what it promises. Sometimes I'm lonely, and then I long for a look which holds what it promises. Sometimes I'm afraid, and then I long for only one word which holds what it promises. And I've also thought, what if we imagine all these things which are hindrance to our self-worth as dragons? So this is called Dragon's Den. Nothing to do with a TV program. You will never do that. That's a dragon of despair. You cannot do that. That's a dragon of mediocrity. You will make yourself look ridiculous. That's a dragon of respectability. You might have missed your chance. Once and for all. That's a dragon of respect. Maybe, just maybe, you might just do it. Whispered the small, undernourished dragon of hope. You may, can, will, shall do it, roared the mighty dragon of self-worth. Don't forget, I chased the other dragons away. It was pretty hard work too. All but one, piped up the dragon of hope, standing proudly and feeling himself grow tall by the minute. So I lay my dragons to rest and my voice a bit as well, and I hand over to Tom.
I had a little bit of a giggle when Nikita said, I've seen the light, and I want to say, and I've seen the rainbow. Religion works best when it is less like a thundercloud, filled with fire and fury of sin. Religion works best when it is more like a rainbow, full of the soft flowing colour of mystery, shedding light and wonder. Good Lord, bless us with religion like a rainbow. Religion that lives in the soft and quiet places of the soul. Religion that is light and bright and restless. That is as soft and brief as sunlight on a swaying leaf, as fresh as rain, as deep as green. Good Lord, give us religion like a rainbow. Rainbows are neither young nor old, but always fresh. And even the highest science cannot tell us if every rainbow is unique and new, or the eternal echo of Noah's origin. A rainbow lasts but a moment, but its light and colour is forever. And people do not band together to defend the highly superior standard of the old-fashioned rainbow, nor do they exhaust their energies trying to devise new ways of doing it. Good God, preserve us from heresy hunters, ancient and modern, old and new, from those who would bolt the door to the past, and from those who would block off all views of the future. Sweet Lord, protect us from tyrants with colour-blind minds who are afraid of rainbows. A religion without a history? Try and manage it if you wish. I think a religion with no history is a religion with no mystery, no root, and no depth, adrift in the wind of every shifting opinion. But who knows? I could be completely wrong. A religion without God, without prayer, without any sense of transcendent grace to be amazed by? Give it a go, if you like. I think it would be a feeble, formless thing that would quickly fade. But you need not agree. But who knows? I could be completely wrong. A religion without history, if you wish. A religion with no sense of transcendent grace, if you must. But a religion without rainbow, good God, never. From Genesis 9:12. It's the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every that parted with you. For all future generations, I have set my rainbow in its hand.
benediction. First there is a reading by Susan Frederick Gray and Erica A. Hewitt. No one is outside the circle of love. We know that hurt moves through the world, perpetrated by action, inaction, and indifference. Our values call us to live in the reality of the heartbreak of our world, remembering that no one is outside the circle of love. We affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We affirm the inherent wholeness of every being, despite apparent brokenness. We know that things break or break down. Promises, friendship, sobriety, hope, communication. This breaking happens because our human hearts and our very institutions are frail and imperfect. We make mistakes. Life is messy. With compassion as your guide, we seek the well-being of all people, to dismantle systems of oppression that undermine our collective humanity. We believe that we are here to guide one another toward love. No matter how fractured we are or once were, we can make whole people of ourselves. We are whole at our core because of the great, unnameable, sometimes inconceivable love in which we live. Because no one is outside the circle of love. Now, yesterday at the Pride service, I had my first glitter blessing, and I thought, I actually do benedictions. I don't do blessings. I don't know. I come from a lay side. I'm not a minister. I don't know, how somebody blesses through me. But then I thought, why not? So this is hot off the press, especially written for this service. I will use it for other services. Blessings that last. After the glitter has rubbed off, being washed off, or has just disappeared. Or maybe even its sparkle has gone from your mind. After you can't feel the watery cross made on your forehead any longer. After the smoke of the burning incense or cedar wood is only a memory in your nostrils. After the rose petals on your path have long been blown away by the wind, the true blessings will remain. That you were seen as you want to be seen. That somebody walked part of your way with you. Seeing the roses as well as the thorns on your path. And even try to walk in your shoes. You might imagine all kinds of shoes, from Wellingtons to ruby slippers, however ill-fitting. Somebody realized your capacity for courage and joy. And you felt loved, and you are. Amen.